Is this the best Rival blaster ever? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Luke. Today I'm going to review the Nerf Rival Perses. This is the flagship product for this year from Hasbro, and I'll start this off by saying I am really impressed. This is the blaster I wish existed from the very beginning. When the Zeus came out 3-4 years ago, I made the Hurricane, and one of the reasons I liked that was it was easier to reload, it shot full auto, it was fast, compact, and light. This blaster is all of those things, holds 50 rounds, full auto, and it is the fastest firing blaster that Hasbro has made yet. I'm kind of blown away at how good this is compared to the other offerings, mainly because Hasbro has intentionally held back features over the years and upgraded slowly. So this has the firing speed of the Prometheus with the compact nature of a lot of the other blasters. It is a fairly ergonomic blaster. It's got kind of a goofy shape here because of the battery that exists inside here. The blaster is $99 and does come with a 9.6 volt nickel metal hydride battery, and that is part of the tremendous value of this blaster. I am going to talk about this blaster both modded and stock, but in stock form it is really an impressive heavy hitter. I think this is the best performing blaster I've seen. I unfortunately didn't record the numbers, but I was getting very high 90s and a few over 100, so it really is holding true to that 100 feet per second Rival performance. Compared to a Zeus, which usually gets about low 90s, that's a pretty big improvement. It also revs up faster because of this nickel metal hydride pack having a little more current available, at least that's what I assume. And I think you cannot find a better buy for Rival, as far as flywheelers anyway, than this blaster, because right off the bat, the stock blaster is phenomenal. Now, because it's meant to run on about almost 10 volts, the upgrade to a 12 volt 3S LiPo is a pretty decent one to do. You will get a good performance bump both in rate of fire and in velocity. Now, I'm going to start by talking about the overall design of the blaster. It's a nice compact form factor. Hasbro, thank you very much for listening to us. This is a nice textured back here instead of a glossy, slick. I frequently complain about that, and I swear this is done for me. I was probably not the only one complaining, but it's a really compact platform. It's all about moving light and fast. You can dish out a lot of shots. So let's give it a quick firing demo, and I'm going to make a nice big mess here. So you did notice I do have to agitate it a little bit, and I'm going to get to that a little bit more later here. But it is a very compact blaster, simple to load, just drop balls in the top. It is not so much a hopper as in an arranged hopper. I'm not really sure what term you would call this, but the balls are in 3 perfect columns here, and they allow for really fast feeding. The one downside there is that you do have to give it a shake occasionally, though I've found that in actually running around and playing with this, it's a little less important. So along with shooting around 100 FPS stock, the modded version will shoot about 130, 135 at tops on a 3S LiPo, and there's plenty of room for electronics in here, plenty of room for wire. It's a really easy blaster to open up. There are no obnoxious screws, I'm happy to report, and it's a really easy clamshell to get open. So on top of being a great blaster, it's also going to be a very popular one to mod. There's easy access to a jam door by popping off the ammo hopper, and inside we've got a belt-fed system, which is longer, just like the Prometheus. And just lengthening that feed belt is literally how they make it shoot faster. That and allowing the balls to sort themselves in a little cleaner than, say, the Nemesis or the Prometheus, where you've got these 3 columns here, sort of 1, 2, and 3, feeding the blaster. Now, 50 rounds is about the max this hopper can hold. Every time I've stuck more than 50 in it, it has required more agitation than necessary. If you stick just the 50 it's required, it does a pretty good job of feeding all the way through. But that does get us to one of the downsides. If you do not give this a gentle shake occasionally, you will occasionally see some jams, or rather misfires, no fires. And really that's just about the balls working them around in here. Now in tests running around my house and playing with this inside, you'll see some footage here. I found that if you are running around actually shooting at things, especially this motion, which is turning to face a different enemy or opponent, you will move the balls very naturally without having to think about it. So unless you're a person who likes to stand and just shoot like this for your entire load of 50 rounds, I don't think you're going to have any problem with jams or with misfires on this blaster. I keep saying jams, but I do mean just skipped shots, not jammed. I have seen the pusher motor jam 2 balls, but there's a PTC on both flywheels and on the main motor lead, and that prevents overcurrent, so it shuts down power. The resistance goes up and shuts down power to the motors, and I think that'll hopefully save your motors. I will have a full mod guide on this probably in about another month, because I need to get my hands on another one, and I'm working on a couple special products. Inside here I've got a dual driver board, which is a dual MOSFET with motor braking and PWM control, so I can control the rate of fire. And that product is just perfect for this blaster, because I was able to leave those PTCs in there for hopefully saving motors if there's ever a jam, and I was able to have the adjustable rate of fire while still upgrading to a 3S and keeping the stock switches. So overall, I've been loving this blaster. I do have a few complaints. First, please, Hasbro, stop painting only one side of the blaster. They're just determined to save that. I don't know what that costs. Someone tell me how much that actually costs. I want to know, is it 5 cents? Are we saving 10 cents? It can't be more than that, right? I don't have any idea. But we are going to get to a few of my things that I don't care for. This little jam slide is a little obnoxious, because every time you set it down on a surface, it sort of sits on this thing. And I'm sure it's durable enough, but it seems like we can make that a little more elegant. Now, I'm assuming the reasoning for this is that this is really nice, easy access, really quick, a lot easier to get at than the Nemesis. So if you got a jam and you're out in the field, you really can just clear the jam, back to play, and you're good to go. So I won't fault them for having it. I just think it could be a little lower profile or something, so it's not quite so snaggy. Because one thing I did notice is that when this is on a lanyard, it literally just happened, just joking about it. But if you are right-handed and you have this blaster hanging on the only sling point on the whole blaster, which is here, that is literally sitting about belt line. And what I found is, even just running around my house, I was dropping the hopper by accident. So I do think I'm going to be looking at modeling a much sleeker one here that just can't hook onto a belt or a piece of clothing or other tactical gear, like a second sling or something like that, because you don't want this dropping out in the middle of play. My next sort of thing I don't care for is the location of this sling point makes it so you are as far from a ready position as you could possibly be. If that's hanging there, you've got to swing it all the way up. Generally, I'd prefer a sling point up here. I haven't thought of an easy way to do it, because it's going to require some cutting to get a mount in there, but I will look at seeing what options might be available. Ultimately, the sling point's not a deal breaker for me. I just would prefer this to be closer to level so that you can bring it up and not have to turn it quite so far to get up to a firing position. Up front, we've got a little jam door, very much required. I have wired this out, of course, in the upgrade, because I don't like locks that don't need to be there. Next on my list of sort of ergonomic complaints or concerns are this front panel. This is where the battery goes right here. I have designed a 3D printed battery door that's a little rounded. The stock one is just the battery itself, and it is completely flat. And it just feels a little awkward having an entirely flat surface to put your hand on there. Likewise up here, you've got a tiny Picatinny rail, excuse me, a tiny Rival rail. I do think that an angled foregrip here is probably going to feel pretty nice, or maybe a actual AFG style mount, but I don't care for, I feel like every time I get my hand in here, it's sort of sharp, so I do feel like there's an upgrade that's going to be needed there. Also thinking about designing my own. But right off the bat, I did do a battery door. Battery door is curved. This is a little hard. I'll show it in a close-up here. This is just a prototype. I'm still working out the patterning on here and a few tolerance tightenings that I need to do, but this will be up on the shop this week. But this battery just pops out. I designed it in a shape so that you can keep the stock terminals, so you can still use the stock batteries if you choose to dual wire it. That is what my mod guide will feature, and by dual wiring I mean that you will be able to have an XT60 in here, and you will also be able to tuck that XT60 away and throw the stock battery back in. And I like that because the stock battery is really, really great, and if you're going to play with kids or give it to kids to play with, I feel like this is a little safer overall as far as they don't have to monitor the LiPo battery and whatnot. So my battery door has been designed to allow easy eject. There's a nice feature, heavy spring-loaded battery door here, so this will pop out just like that, and you can very easily install this battery. And so the battery fits in like that. Every battery that I sell fits in here, up to a 2500 milliamp battery. It locks right in place and then just has a nice eject. And that's why I chose to make it a full square. There are some free ones on Thingiverse and some other, I think there's a couple already, but I wanted it to both be rounded and have easy access so that the spring would still work, because it's kind of a nice feature if you're going to have all that battery tray space dedicated anyway. This blaster has got a lot going for it, from rate of fire to the price point with the included battery to upgradability, and I just think it's going to be a killer platform for a lot of things. PWM is really going to help drop that rate of fire down, so when you don't want to fire 10-12 rounds a second, you're not. The next thing I am working on, this is just a test for fit, but this is a expanded hopper. So I am hoping to alleviate one of my other biggest complaints by making my own hopper with a rear loading door. The reason I want to do that is that the center of gravity on this blaster is somewhere right in here. That's about almost the center of gravity. So it's quite a bit forward from the trigger position. And what that means is you need a fair amount of wrist strength holding this up. Now I know people are laughing, saying that, you know, kids play with this and I'm probably being a baby, but the point is, right now, the way this opens up, you have to hold this level to drop balls in. You can't, if you're running around in the field and you want to load it, you really need to have this level, drop your balls in, and let's say I'm grabbing from a pouch or from the ground, it's got to be level, because if you do this, you can't, you're going to have balls kind of falling out. And so when you're running around picking them up, you have to hold this level the entire time you're pushing these in. And I'm going to find that, you know, incredibly fatiguing to sit there and hold the whole day. So my thought was that if we had a rear door and a 3D printed expanded hopper, you could have this on your sling mount and rear load, leaving it open so you could just walk around and put ammo in a lot easier. So I'm hoping that will help quite a bit. I have tested this hopper concept with plexiglass and duct tape, and it works very well. The hopper seems to have no problem managing the feed in between here and feeding like a normal hopper. So that's actually something I sort of didn't expect. When I first put the parts on, I thought it was going to jam and not work, but I think that's really exciting news for anybody who wants the high rate of fire in the small package, and obviously who doesn't want more ammo. The one I've tested so far is up to about 140 rounds total. It might end up being more or less than that depending on how I like the ergonomic choices, but the full-size test print is going right now. As you know, I love Rival, so I generally choose to review a lot of Rival blasters on the channel. This, despite some of its flaws, is by far my favorite that Hasbro has ever put out. I'm super excited to see these on the field. This is the style of play that I've been playing since the birth of the Hurricane. It's fast, light, with virtually nothing else on me, and I think more and more people might adopt that style with this new blaster. Like I said, I will have a battery door for this. I will probably be working on a trigger because I do feel like this could be a little less sharp, along with an updated claw here on the side that doesn't catch on your clothing and belts. Right now, the battery door is available in the shop, and the hopper will probably be coming in a week or two. I want to make sure it's really polished and has a perfect fit and is very reliable before releasing it. Let me know what you think of this blaster. Is it something you're interested in? It is Rival, so that automatically sort of divides the audience. But hit that like and subscribe button. It does help out the channel tremendously. Until next time, I'm out of darts.